Feeling psyched?
Yeah, I actually am.
There he goes.
Going somewhere different in a place that isn't sort of pegged as the place to go. We wanted to try and do something in a place that people don't really think of or go to. And I was really psyched on that.
The objectives, I guess, because this was so exploratory, weren't particularly clear. We're going to do some bouldering and we'll try and do some trad. I wanted to kind of try and engage with people out there. I guess through sport, you can kind of cross cultures and boundaries and just enjoy this kind of activity, which doesn't really have a purpose, it's just fun.
We both kind of liked the idea of new routing. We weren't sure how many people we would take. Ryan and I are not, pros in any shape or fashion. We're enthusiastic, but that's about it. We wanted someone who climbs, comfortably in the sevens, higher if possible.
I've met Ryan and Astrid through the University of Nottingham Climbing Club, and I guess they thought I'm one of the more experienced people that they could actually approach and see if I would be interested in joining them and help them establish something in West Africa.
Alkis has the world's worst sense of fashion, mixing pink and green on a regular basis. He's super awesome, super reliable.
Alkis, we've just climbed up the top of this boulder. Why are we climbing again?
2 reasons. 1, there is a lovely route here. 2, I left the rope up there.
You didn't even coil it, you just left it in the mess at the top.
I met Astrid whilst climbing at the depot in Nottingham. She's a really solid climber, very tenacious, boneheaded in the sense that she won't leave a problem alone once she started it, which is really inspiring to see.
Oh. Come on. If we come back tomorrow, I think it might happen.
Ryan, who I can only really describe as strong and cocky.
He climbs things that I hate, and I climb things that he hates. But we've got a really good dynamic, and I think we're a good team.
Our friend Gordon, he had to pull out because he was a traitor. He's training to be a doctor and he had some medical exams that got in the way of the trip. So yeah, I replaced him as the medical expert, do some of my training and bolting things together as a mechanical engineer. I thought maybe I could do that to people. But we replaced him with a plastic mascot in the end. So we did make it to the trip.
We are at my house in Oxford, and this is the last time we're going to get together before we're at the airport. We're just packing the bags. Ollie is packed, so he's going, provided he doesn't forget his passport. We're leaving our stuff for a few days whilst we have Christmas, and then we're gonna come back and chuck a load of stuff in at the last minute and we realise there's still stuff to pack.
We decided to travel by bus from Abidjan to Mont, which we were told was like a 6 or 7 hour journey. That means it's going to be at least 10. Under the circumstances, I thought this is going to be a long journey.
Because of some local celebration and the fact that New Year's was coming up, everything was super busy, including the actual coaches themselves. And you cannot really book them in advance as such. You do get tickets in advance, but it is a free-for-all for getting on. And if one is full, you get the next one.
My neck hurts, my ass hurts, but other than that, yeah.
Ollie, what are you doing?
We're resting our butts.
So this puppy is supposed to be in the luggage compartment, so now I'm taking care of her. It's eventually going to pee on me. I'm fully aware of this.
What's good to see? Ryan's made a new friend. You know his name? Yes, sir.
In the morning, when we woke up, we found, wow, we're in a far more mountainous region than we were before. You can see the tooth from here, and you can see loads of crags around, you can see loads of boulders around, and everyone is smiling. What is this place?
It's a lot more hilly and kind of mountainous than I expected. I thought it would be flatter, and then there'll be one or two like sort of outcroppings, but it is all around us. There's hills and mountains, small ones, and they each seem to have at least one crag on them. Like you can see one over there, you can see one at the top over there, you can see the tooth on the other side, and there are some boulders that are clearly within private property. But it's quite interesting that there's this much rock, and you just think of how much potential there must. I mean, we haven't actually had a look at it yet, but you'd imagine there's quite a bit of potential here. From the hotel, we could see the Dent de Man, which is this peak we were going after, and that was really cool to be able to see it through the haze.
When you just see that piece of rock on a photo, you know, there has to be something up there, and I have to go find it and climb it.
Initially, we hiked up to the peak to just have a look at it because we were basing our kind of ambition to climb it on a grainy photo found on the internet.
We'd only seen like some pretty low resolution photos on the internet. We thought we'd seen a crack line, we didn't know if it went all the way to the top. We just have to look at it first, see if it looked climbable, see if it was climbable, what equipment would we need.
The area you walk through to get to the tooth is controlled by one of the local tribes. The accepted thing to do is you have to meet the chief and share some palm wine with him. It's not unpleasant, it's very weird. So the first time I wasn't so sure, but after a while it was alright. The walk up to the tooth, it is a very, very nice walk. Not just because of the vistas up on the top, but also because of everything you see getting there.
Thinking about being stood up here for about 10 months, so it's nice to finally be here, but we took the easy way up the path
It's time to climb it.
So we're at the top of Dent de Man, and it looks like a viable crag to climb on. It's probably around 150 meters tall, which is around what we estimated from the photos we had. We have found a caving spit at the top. Our guides reckon that, considering there's actually a date carved on the rock, that it's the military having abseiled down this. So while there is a possibility that someone's actually climbed it, there's also the possibility that they literally just tapped off it. We can actually use the boulders here to arrange a pretty bomber anchor, so we can use that to abseil down and inspect what the route would be. And also, we should, if someone has climbed it and they've used the caving spits up here, they probably use them down there as well, so be able to see that.
The first abseil we did was with a very stiff rope, which made abseiling down really difficult.
Abseiling off this is going to be a mission, I'm telling you now.
Alkis is not really comfortable with free-hanging abseils. He gets vertigo. And so he got about 5 meters down the line and basically started curling up into a ball and freaking out.
What the actual fuck? Right, okay, can we not do this shit again? What I mean is, we first figure out how to do shit and then we fucking film. Turn this shit off, please. This is just bollocks. This is just bollocks. I'm not doing this.
It was stressful for me.
There are edges everywhere, but this looks way hard.
Found climbable rock there, but not rock that we could climb with our current ability and no bolts. If you were to trad that out, there would be runouts in the tens of meters, which is in fact not most people's cup of tea. There are a few people in the world that would enjoy that sort of thing, but it was not us. When I got back up to the top, Matt and I flew the drone around in that sort of area and took some footage and some photos. And looking at those, validated that there definitely is a line going there. What I thought was a potential line is definitely a crack. So at that point we knew that when we get back there, that is the place to look.
We're all a bit dehydrated, haven't taken enough water, but it's been a long day, and now we're by the stream, which we shouldn't think of drink out of, because our stomachs probably aren't strong enough, so we're just splashing ourselves with water. And yeah, feeling okay. It's like coming off a mountain in the Alps, except nothing hurts, but you've still got the feeling of a bit of drowsiness.
Sorry? So what we're doing now is we're reconstructing the bouldering pads, which we had to reshape to get into the hold luggage, and putting them back in their bouldering pads.
The issue we came across when trying to actually get these pads here was that the airline do dimensions of luggage based on the sum of individual dimensions rather than the overall volume. If we just fold it and then stack all of the foam together, we're ending up with the same volume packed in a much more sensible package. Even after all of this, these pads are still, what, 4 kilos? So considering that most airlines do like 23 kilo baggage, there is a lot of weight that can go in these. And that's it. That's how we brought 5 Psyche pads down to sub-Saharan Africa without having to pay for oversized luggage.
Oh, get tapping.
Part of the research before going out there, we needed to find somewhere that actually did have rock of some kind, and the only thing we had to go by was sort of UKC forums and sort of the European equivalent. We used Google Earth a lot to kind of try and find places with rock. Ryan had the idea of having a look in the Bodleian Library at Oxford. When you think of like, oh, I'll go to the library, when you're asking about the geology of Ivory Coast, your initial thought is there's no way they're going to come up with anything super useful. As it turns out, they did have very useful things. They have a proper geological map, and this was kind of a physical map that we could look at and touch. We could really see the region, and we knew from Google Earth like approximately where the peak would be vis-a-vis Mont, and so we could kind of figure out what kind of rock we would be looking at, and it was granite, which is a really good sign.
It was good rock. Immediate thing was, this is good rock, we need to climb some of it.
The very first boulder we went to, kind of a slabby, smooth boulder that had one particularly obvious line on it. That's something for me, it illustrated that it was possible to climb in such a remote place.
Well done, Astrid. The rock is actually remarkably sticky, even though it's warm as hell. Around 5-ish, grade-wise. Like, hard enough to not be a complete mistake.
Basically, no one's done anything but look at these boulders. So there's lots of crystals. It's also a really coarse-grained granite.
One of the biggest concerns we had before coming out was like the rock quality and how ready it will be to climb, but we've been really lucky. We've turned up and we've basically not had to do anything to the rock at all because it's like baked all the time. There's just no vegetation on it and it's pretty much ready to climb. Awesome rock quality, nice features.
They were fairly clean. Occasionally there were some little loose flakes and the like, because when you have something that's in the sun a lot, you can end up with a crust forming from all the thermal expansion.
No, the rock was just there, ready to be climbed. On the most part, I think we had one piece of rock fall off, and it happened to catch Ryan on the chin. It was quite fun.
There's this really annoying sit-start problem, which had a big undercut, pulling on it really hard, and then it just came off.
Oh, that just caught me right in the chin.
I missed my tooth by about 2 or 3 centimeters because it definitely would have knocked it out.
How is it, chin?
Sore.
Yes.
Come on, Ollie.
Yes.
Yes, man. Good man.
It's mostly one move, but it's good to figure out like deciding the line yourself.
Brushing everything off because it's just not on to leave loads of chalk all over the place, and boulders that were, well, not chalky before.
My favourite boulder problem was probably one we didn't actually do, was like the stacked boulder, just because there was probably 5 or 6 different lines you could do on that, and they were hard, but they were fun.
That's the better part of the boulders.
Yeah, so...
Oh no. Can you cam that in, that left foot? Keep on pinch. Yeah, that's what you want. Hey, if you can just get it there.
It was sort of inspiring just finding it and saying, right, that's there. That'd be cool if someone else did that. It was so good to just running around seeing which lines might be fun to climb. When we were exploring, we had to go through some of the not completely burnt but like remains of bushes and knock them down a bit, and every time you did that it just unleashed a cloud of dust into the air that you then walked through to like find your next boulder, and we were absolutely coated.
Do you feel like Rambo?
Goes on the other side.
No.
Oh. One thing we found is that there are a lot of very itchy plants that you should not touch, and they do tend to find themselves very close to the boulders that you would like to climb.
Stop edging. Stop edging.
No, fuck off.
Ah! Yes sir, baby.
So Mike and Yasant acted as our guides on the trip. Mike is a very sort of outgoing, loud, very competent guy.
Yeah!
Yasant is quite a different person. He's a lot more reserved, very polite, very soft-spoken, and has some sort of nearly magical way of diplomacy, where he would just talk to people and get things arranged and done.
What's your name?
My name is
Kwasi.
Hyacinthe. No, Kwasi.
After about a week, I had kind of like a moment where I was like, oh my goodness, like Mike and Hyacinthe are Baloo and Bagheera from the Jungle Book. Like Mike is very kind of boisterous and kind of getting things done, whereas Hyacinthe was much more talkative, and he would like a conversation would go on for hours. But it was very, very diplomatic, never a raised tone. He's very soft-spoken.
We are converting Mike to be a climber, and he's about to probably destroy us all. Put him on like some campusy overhang and he's gonna absolutely wipe the floor.
Voilà, grimpe avec les pieds et ensuite tu peux faire monter le pied sur le rebord.
Lentement, lentement.
Pose bien le pied sur la grande voilà. Respire.
Mike, si tu as sweat, utilise la magnésie.
Si tu transpires, utilise la poudre.
Ok.
Tu es sur, tu vois le rebord où tu as le pied là.
Ouais.
Ça, utilise le bord de la chaussure.
Ouais.
Ouais, allez. Viens, viens. Allez, Mike. Allez. Allez. Oui. Très bien. Bien fait.
Hey.
Well done, man.
Yeah.
Bravo. C'est pas facile.
C'est pas facile, hein. Vous avez du boulot là.
Tu avais peur?
Oh, bon, pas peur, mais.
Jamais.
Voilà. Mais c'est le système qui est chez moi.
One of Ryan's ideas to see how viable bouldering is in Côte d'Ivoire is see whether you can get enough materials to build some sort of pad. So, a bouldering pad consists of 3 elements. Soft foam, that is used for the main energy absorption. Some hard foam to spread the load onto the soft foam so that you don't bottom out straight through it and break your leg. And something to cover it and actually make it into a structure that you can fold and carry around.
We'd seen loads of mattress shops just walking around, so we knew there was foam of some description there, so that was a good start. We went on the hunt for some high density foam, basically trying to build like a Western style bouldering pad.
We could not really find any hard foam, but what we decided our option was is to make a mat with that foam, coated with flooring tarpaulin, and on one side, the actual landing side, put many layers of it so that it can spread the load a little bit and you can't just pierce the foam with your foot.
Monsieur, c'est parfait. Merci beaucoup.
We got a local craftsman that Hyacinthe knew to build the actual outer.
This guy's a 4th dan Type 1 to black belt.
They did an amazing job. It worked pretty well as a crash pad, and it's not far off what people used to use before modern pads were actually created.
Really neat, really tidy. Why didn't you get a handle? Yeah.
And we wanted to do more than just climb out there. I thought it would be a shame to go somewhere and just climb and then leave and just kind of be tourists doing their own thing in their little world. And we wanted to engage with people a bit more. We thought it would be interesting to go to kind of a high school and talk about it. A lot of them had never really heard of climbing. Some of them had heard of alpinism, but introducing them to this sport and kind of using the Olympics to kind of engage them and to show them that it's not just some weird kind of niche sport. I mean, it is, but it's kind of a way in because everyone's heard of the Olympics. We'd found some boulders we thought were really good for teaching someone the basics of climbing. I was surprised at the number of people who wanted to try climbing. They all loved it, but once they were doing it, they really engaged with it because it's kind of a cool challenge, is get to the top of something.
Ça peut être facile. Mais depuis. Lâche-moi. Demain. Non, lâche-moi. Allez. Tu peux. Oh.
It's kind of a scary sport when you do it for the first time. You're like, ooh, I don't want to fall off here. And these guys were just like going for it.
Allez. Let's go. Vas-y.
People were dancing on tops of boulders. Once they finished, they were helping each other down on the descents. It was really, really good atmosphere.
A lot of them tried really, really hard. And they're all very strong as well. Just baseline strength was mind-blowing.
There's like some good camaraderie, like everyone's calling for each other and trying to get everyone up it, which is nice. Some of them listen about technique and then some of them don't. It tends to be proportional to their height and their strength, I think.
I think they'd enjoyed the experience, and one of them got out a speaker and put on some music, and they all started dancing and must have joined. And I was so up for this. I'd been just like loving the music that I'd been hearing. Just wanted to try dancing to it, and it's so offbeat and so different to anything I knew. I couldn't just do my normal stuff, so I really enjoyed them teaching us. We've brought a hell of a lot of gear with us, and we're deciding what to take and what not to take. And a lot of the time it's going to be me, a bit more of a minimalist, arguing with Alkis about what we may or may not need, what could potentially destroy the trip from us not having it up there, or what could save us by actually getting everything into the bags.
Although having now walked up there once, I'm not taking that much convincing to say no, we're not fucking taking this. Thanks. So this is 2 rope protectors here. This is one. I've never used these. I've used this once. Yeah, I can imagine what would have happened to the rope had it not been there. I was very confident that we'd find a way up the tooth. What I was not certain about was whether to find a quality way up the tooth. Going further left, there are some low-angle slabs that you could, well, basically pad up, which would be quite run out, but definitely doable. But that wouldn't really be a very satisfying line. So that was the biggest worry. But when we got there and actually found a line that was really good, it was amazing. He has found a line.
There's an off-width.
Yeah, it has an off-width on it. Good thing I actually convinced him not to leave the big cams down, because he said it uses both of them. I couldn't quite tell if the corner had the crack in the back or not. And because of how compact the granite is in this area, I was actually suspecting that it did not, and I was bricking it a little bit. But as it turns out, that is a crack, which means that there's definitely a line and it's definitely climbable, and there's gear on it, which is really good.
Once we determined where we were sort of going to try and climb, it became clear that we needed to clean, and because there's a lot of mud, Ollie had been down there and it said, well, there's a line, but it needs a lot of cleaning, and there's issues about how long that was going to take, and the fact that we couldn't do it during the daytime because it was too hot. So we had a long discussion about what we should do about that, and it was decided that I would go down and clean the next morning.
The wind carries dust from the Sahara and it just cakes the rock face with it, so it looked like black slippery granite, and it was actually underneath it with a brush with golden granite that had just about enough grip on to take some of these holds and to climb it.
The off-foot crack had some vegetation in it that would need clearing, and there being vegetation means that there will probably be some loose rock in there that would need to arrange in a way that can't possibly be knocked out.
As time went on, I just kept thinking, oh, do we have time to figure out the moves? You know, is this even climbable, like if you put shoes on?
Just heading down to try and see if there's a line for the bottom half of the tooth, or the lower incisor as we're calling it. We don't know if it's there, but we're going to give it one last shot and see if we can find something.
We're currently reviewing match drone footage. We've got a bit of an issue that we found an upper pitch which looks really promising, very protectable, about our kind of payload without the need for bolts. It's just trying to find a first initial lower pitch which would come into that and would go. We found a very kind of rambly, slabby thing, but which would be basically a solo and would be a bit problematic without bolting. So now we're just trying to see if we can avoid bolting and find a line of some description so that we can link up the two pitches.
Right, so I'm on the midway ledge of the climb, and I finally arranged an abseil. So I'm about to go down to the next bit and see if there is a line. So far it looks promising because the corner of the ledge has an actual crack. So fingers crossed this crack is going to continue a fair way down and should be able to then get to the bottom of these slabs. At that point the sun had actually started properly baking the slab and myself. So I made the tactical decision to abseil to the bottom and then walk around, thinking this is going to be much less of an effort than Jumaring 90 meters of rope.
He's lying, he forgot his Juma.
Yeah, okay, I was not going to say that, but I did actually forget my Juma. Passing through jungle, or well, whatever the hell this is, it's really tiring.
I ended up pretty much exactly where I expected to, just much later than expected.
You have to see the footage from the GoPro. About an hour of me going to the jungle.
The next day, both Ollie and I went back down to try and work out how we're actually going to do this.
I hadn't thought about too much who was going to do what section. We were just sort of trying to get the whole thing pieced together as a jigsaw in our heads. So that was figuring out how to climb the slab section and making sure all the other parts were clean.
The slabs run out. The slab, but it's good. There's like feet and hands. It's just not protected.
I'll tell you specifically the bit.
There's a cam
directly underneath the pod, where it goes slightly steeper before it enters the pod.
Yes, yeah.
It's a bit blank.
Well,
other than pulling on the tufts of grass.
No. I definitely saw.
I've got rid of them.
Okay.
I was looking for a crack.
There's a couple of side pulls and some small ledgy things for feet. You could easily you could get a like up on the slabby bit at the bottom, which is quite safe.
Like some very Astrid things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you could stand up onto the little ledge. It's about this wide. It's quite flat. And then there are some little side pulls and things, and then you can put your hands in the dishes of the pod, and
then
if you don't lose your nerve, you're fine just standing up.
I think the next job is work the moves, see if it actually is possible. Because the first time I went down, I thought, yeah, that'll be fine.
I would do it
this time. I was like, oh, we're gonna have to do that.
I would do it on top rope. Actually, drop a dynamic rope down from the top and work them properly. So rather than having to worry about shock load and shit like that.
One thing Alkis had said is, I'll just do it in the best way that gives us the best chance of actually doing it.
It was possible to climb this thing, and it was one of those moments where you sort of realize, my goodness, like, we could actually do this. This isn't just us kind of playing around on an abseil, like we might actually be able to climb this.
Hoping everything sort of works out. I think could be like an amazing day.
Or it could just
the
flop.
idea of topping out is in my head is just incredible. But yeah, obviously there's a lot that could go wrong, and it's just trying to make sure we've got everything in place ready before we go.
Yeah, it could be a late night. Yeah. Pull up an early start. Just get a bit fixated on getting the route done. When you're getting up first thing in the morning and try to climb late in the evening because it's colder, and not really sleeping or resting really well in the day. Bad things happen. As soon as I'm hungry or tired, I know that I'm not as with it. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a good night's sleep tonight. Eat well, take it easy, and everyone stay safe, because it's not worth doing if people are going to get hurt.
Like, it's just the fear of unknown, in that the pitches we have tried, like, I'm quite confident we'll do the cracks pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of confident I might fall off on the bridging out the fucking off width, but I just do not know much about the first pitch, even though I have up-down the bustle thing.
So, having not had any sleep, I got out of bed. Usually a one night's sleep, like, I can go without, but with it, the accumulation of the 4 days, I was just absolutely drained and in zombie mode.
However, I was feeling absolutely fine. In fact, I was both really psyched and actually not tired.
Feeling psyched?
Yeah, I actually am.
I got down, I had some food and drink, and he perked up a bit, and I guess we just decided to change the pitches so that I would get to do the first pitch, which is the corner crack, and then the slab pitch. The first pitch, however, I had actually never seen before. In that, I mean, I had looked at it from the ledge going, yeah, there's a crack, but having already been told that that's fine, I wasn't really worried about it, so I hadn't paid that much attention, which meant that that bit was onside, which was actually really good. The climb starts about halfway along the midway ledge of the mountain. There is a big diagonal crack line, so you set up belay there. You start going up the diagonal until you can break along the actual face on some crimps and flakes until you get onto a boulder in the bottom of the main corner crack. You go up the corner crack using a combination of bridging and jamming, occasionally using the face.
Oh, this looks interesting.
You have to sort of bridge, find jumps, switch back to bridging, switch back to cracks, keep alternating between the two constantly all the way to the top.
Jamming pretty much every move of this. I'm glad I taped.
At times it feels so secure that you can sort of run it out a bit, but then that bites you in the ass because you get a bit higher and realize that, oh, I really should have placed it because now it's not secure.
This is out there. This is definitely out there.
If you're trying to put gear in, you cannot actually simultaneously have your left hand in the crack and actually get the reach to get the cam in because of your shoulders just hit the sidewall. So I ended up with a lot of faff trying to get that cam in and fumbling because I didn't have full control of what my arm was doing because it was jammed against the rock. Eventually managed to get it in and clip it.
Oh my. Super strange placement, that was really scary. Oh, and it's next to a jug! What the fuck? I hate it when this happens. for fuck's sake. Oh my goodness. Hey.
There is a pitch that tops out onto a ledge above the top of the crack. Then you traverse along some rather unprotected slabs.
I had like a relatively easy traverse pitch, but it involves sort of climbing over Alkis out of the crack onto a ledge, and like mantling out onto this dusty ledge was quite awkward when I don't want to factor 2 onto Alkis.
Then you get to a hole, which is the belay for the third pitch, which is the crux pitch.
This is the scary crux bit. So I've done it several times from top rope. I know exactly how to do it. I know exactly what gear goes in and how. It's nothing to be scared of.
Only found an utterly laughable placement for a size 1 super light rock that well, would take body weight. I'm not entirely sure it would stay in to take anything more than body weight, but it was one of those where, well, it's in, so there is a piece of gear. You go directly up, place some really poor gear, and traverse along some side pulls until you can get a heel scum on a smear and reach up full stretch to a finger jug.
Yes!
Once you get the finger jug, you match it, mantle onto a slab, and you end up in a pod. Climb the back of the pod to the next belay. I showed Ollie what I did for that sequence, and he came up with a slightly different sequence with the same holds that was a bit more secure and involved less smearing and trusting yourself on weird side pulls.
I know you go wrong foot if you don't fit, because I had the same issue until. So I had the same issue as you every time until this time, and I think it's which foot you start with. If you start with the wrong foot, you're sort of stuck immediately.
Quite nice as well. So you get to these.
The next belay, you have an off-width crack. You can get a really wide bridge between the face of the crack and the wall behind.
Yeah, come on. Yes. Yeah.
It is a really, really high foot, and you really rely on, well, basically ass and back friction on the rock, so until you can actually get your foot on something solid.
Yes. There's a pair of jams over the top.
Where?
In the horizontal break. Horizontal break's a magnificent jump. Yes, come on. Yes.
Fucking hell.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Oh, cheers for the pizza.
It's in the fucking bag, man.
Calm down.
Nice, man. Well done. He's on the ledge, Alkis. I hope you don't have to test that.
I don't think we were going to do it today.
Well, scream or something, come on.
What's the point? If I was fresher, I could get a scream out. Wait for Arcus to scream.
Once Ollie had done, I know that basically we have a clean ascent, and once I managed that move as well, the climb was in the bag, so when we got to the top, I was like, yep, this was some good stuff.
Come on, Alkis!
Same for us. We're out. Yes.
It's done. It's done.
Give us a
Thanks
fist
so
bump,
much, guys.
Both of you, give us a fist bump. Yes!
Go, go, go.
What a line!
I was like dreaming of finding something exactly the right grade that we'd be able to do, and it took longer than I expected, unfortunately, but I can't believe it. And it's good all the way.
It's good all the way. It's exactly as hard it needs to be considered where we are. Okay, does anyone have any water?
Yeah. What grade do you think the crux pitch is?
I think the pitches
The
are
adjective grade?
Hmm?
The adjective
E3.
grade.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I think the climb is E3, 5B, 5A, 5C, 5B. The traverse is 4B, but topping out onto the ledge is 5A move for sure.
Hey Matt.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing.
What is that?
It feels incredible. Like, and I keep getting bursts of laughter, like intermittently, like what something happens. To see it all work, like as it was supposed to. I can't believe it. I thought we'd do two pitches and then like and then get stuck to or something, or like I'd be drained, or the cameras would have knocked something down and it wouldn't have been possible. I don't know, but it's done.
Yesant has told me there has never been anything like this done here before, for sure. He was just like, nope, no one has ever done that before, once I explained to him what leading was. And especially trad leading, he was like, no, people definitely don't do that here. And I was like, yeah, we didn't think so.
I don't know if I had a favourite part or a bit where I just felt overly relieved, which allowed me to relax and reflect and think, oh, that is a really good thing. Probably seeing Ollie topping out was like the sweetest moment. But that's what I love about like climbing with your mates and stuff, like because we're all objectively not that great. It was just more of an adventure and more like kind of silly things, and that's what I remember most from the trip, I think, rather than the actual mediocre climbing that we did.
savouring the taste compared to Alkis.
I say we're downing it.
No, that will knock me out right now.
Exactly.
I won't be able to eat.
I was feeling fine before eating, now I'm very tired.
I really need a shit, and Alkis.
Gonna poke you.
Where are we? I really need a shit. We're in the market. I really need a shit, and they keep looking at like 10 different forms of lamp, all of which I think would have done the job that we required.
We had to abort mission rather quickly, and he's just legged it to the toilet here in the restaurant.
Go, Ollie.
Don't shit yourself.
The maman who lives here, she makes food that's delicious. So we've ordered Swiss crème. Je suis désolée du retard, on avait rendez-vous à l'école.
Mike. Ryan wanted me to get a haircut out here, and then I said I'd get one if we did a route on the Dent de Man, and we did do a route on the Dent de Man. That's why
Je suis good. Oh, God, wait. For long?
Who asked for the goatee?
That's good. Oh, let's go, let's go.
I got the goatee.
Deux femmes dans ma classe, ça va.
Car we have broke down, so I sorted us out with a minibus to do the last thing of the journey and for the next few days. So we're cruising in style, hopefully.
So Alkis is really bad at leaving stuff lying about and then losing it and being like, oh, where's my so-and-so? This is his tri-block and it's his absolute baby, and he left it under the tarp, so I'm gonna hide it and wait to see how long it takes for him to realise it's missing. I've done this before, show me.
Physically the hardest, probably the first pitch. Mentally and technically the hardest, the second pitch. To be honest, there is really no easy bit on it other than the foot traverse. Like all the pitches had were craxes effectively.